In the early hours of June the 1st, 1942, the Second World War entered Sydney Harbour. The attack by Japanese midget submarines left 19 Australian and 2 British sailors dead. It also had a tragic toll on those left behind.
For the brothers and sister of Kenneth Francis Killeen, the pain is still raw even 7 decades after his death. He was aboard HMAS Cuttable, a ferry moored in Sydney Harbour, when it was sunk by a Japanese midget submarine.
I just couldn't believe it happened because there wasn't any war in Sydney.
Today they brought the watch he was wearing when he died and the jacket which was sewn from his uniform to donate to the Navy's museum. News of the 21-year-old's death had a catastrophic effect on their family.
My mother was heavily pregnant. She went into labour, went into hospital. She had a baby boy which was stillborn, and she died.
As heavy as the toll was, a Navy historian acknowledges that Australia was lucky to avoid its own version of Pearl Harbor. It was only that one of the midget submarines got tangled in the harbour nets and blew itself up that alerted the Navy to the invaders.
3 heavy cruisers would have been under direct threat, and they had about 1,500 personnel on board at the time.
The last survivors on board HMAS Cuttable died recently, but still working to keep the memory of those times alive is one of the soldiers guarding Sydney that night.
Lights everywhere and people firing guns and God knows what's going on.
Now in his 90s, Don Roberts is restoring the searchlights which kept watch. His efforts and those of the Navy Shrine, which marks the place where war came into Sydney Harbour, will ensure that this episode will not be forgotten. David Spicer, ABC News, Sydney.